A great man once said, "A good discussion increases the dimensions of everyone who takes part."
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the panel discussion with our alumni. Today, the orientation team presents to you an enriching and enlightening panel discussion with three of the most renowned alumni. We would like to introduce to you our guests for the day.
Dr. Swami Ravichandran. Dr. Swami Ravichandran is currently working at Caltech Institute as an aerospace and mechanical engineering professor. He passed out from NIT Trichy, then known as REC, in 1981, and went on to do his master's in applied mathematics, solid mechanics, and structures from Brown University. Dr. Ravichandran's research focuses on the behavior of materials. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you for having me on this panel. And I think it's a great pleasure to see you all. It has been 40 years since I left NIT. And so it's good to be back.
Dr. Venkat Selvamarnikam, currently a professor of physics at the University of Houston, completed his BE with honors in mechanical engineering from NIT Trichy in the year 1986, and then went on to do his Master of Science degree in mechanical engineering and PhD in materials engineering from the University of Houston in 1988 and 1992 respectively. Dr. Selvamarnikam's research centers around material engineering. We welcome you to the discussion, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm really happy and honored to be here as a part of this distinguished panel of colleagues, and really wonderful to connect with everybody at NIT Trichy, and I really look forward to the panel discussion.
Our next guest for today is Dr. Vishnu Viswanathan. Dr. Vishnu Viswanathan is currently working as a research scientist at NASA Goddard Space Flight Center. He passed out from NIT Trichy in 2011 and went on to do his MS in Space System Engineering and PhD in Astronomy and Astrophysics. His research interests include planetary interiors, lunar laser ranging, ephemeris, radio science. We welcome you, sir.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, and a pleasure to be with some of the alumni at NIT. Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
We're honored to have you all here today to give our freshers an insightful and motivating session for the year. So please sit back and relax as we dive into the discussion.
As we all know, the COVID pandemic has changed the face of education in a myriad of ways. So we'd like to open this discussion with your valuable opinions on how you think it would affect students' practical ability with the world moving to online classes and virtual labs.
Dr. Ravichandran, we would like to start with your opinions first.
This is a point every university is grappling with, and I think there is a shift in paradigm in education and higher education. I think thinking about labs, particularly labs, what's the hands-on experience? Because now one could think that you could learn almost on any subject from the internet, using YouTube or other kind of means. But one of the things I think very important is the experiential learning, which you go to the lab and spend many hours thinking about solving problems and working on projects. And I think that's an experience which has been missing from the pandemic. And people have replaced this with sort of virtual labs, but this is only a kind of poor substitute in my mind. And I think certainly the value of education is for people to work together and also to go to the lab physically and to be able to work. But I hope various people are coping with this thing using different mechanisms. And hopefully in NIT you get to work on the wonderful labs. One of the things I remember about NIT is that the opportunity to work hands-on experience in the labs.
Yeah, I agree. I think hands-on skills and practical experience are very important. My recommendation is really to students to talk to professors to seek any lab assistant opportunities. This is really outside the normal classes you take. And I would say that most professors would really like to have undergrad students in their labs. Also, I would say outside your curriculum, try to seek internship or shadowing opportunities. Me personally, I realized my interest in doing research only after my summer internships, where I learned a lot about various engineering aspects in industry, but realized that I won't be interested in routine, repetitive work. So I think even though the classes may be online, I would highly recommend students to seek all possible ways to get hands-on experience either with professors or with local companies. I think we'll be happy to host you and teach you some practical skills.
Yeah, I think I have nothing more to add there. It's something that we are currently facing. It's a problem that we all deal with right now. I think since this orientation is for first year students, we can only hope that things get better and that they have 3 more years to go to plan ahead in terms of where they want to do their internships, where they want to, have more hands-on experiences, identify those subjects which you can't really substitute using a virtual platform. So yeah, I think definitely reaching out to professors both inside and outside your college to seek out opportunities to work on such more hands-on approach to problems would, I think, would be the short-term solution to this. But yeah, it's one of the questions that I really didn't have an answer for. There's no substitute, unfortunately, for practical knowledge on the virtual platform as we know it. I hope things evolve, but it's the challenge. Take it as a challenge, I'd say, to find different avenues to substitute that the things that you would miss.
That was very insightful, sir. Now we move on to the next question. The first days are the most daunting and yet the most memorable ones. A long time has passed since your first days in IIT Trichy. Going down memory lane, what do you remember most about your first days in college? You would like Dr. Gurushri, sir? You'd like you to start with.
I think the first day I remember, it has been a while back. It's 40 years back. But I think one of the most exciting things was meeting all the students from all over India. So there were like students from Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, and all these places. And these are places only I had heard of, and or maybe seen on the map. So to meet all these people and see this very exciting crowd, people are very excited to be on campus, to learn new things and meet new people. I think that was probably the most memorable for me. And also going to the hostel and meeting your roommates, and that was very exciting because I had roommates from at that time Bangalore and Bihar, so it was kind of very exciting. And sometimes we didn't speak each other's language, so that was also interesting.
Yeah, certainly that's the unique thing about NIT Trichy and I guess all NITs is that really the ability to connect with people from different states. And prior to coming to NIT Trichy, I had rarely interacted with anybody outside the state. So it was really a great experience. And my room in Agate was right next to the table tennis room. So that used to attract a lot of people there. So I was able to connect with a lot of people very quickly. Another thing, more personally for me, in my first few weeks as a freshman, is that I really stood out like a sore thumb. Actually, I'm 6'4", and back in 1982, I was a lanky kid. Probably 6'4" is more common these days, but 40 years ago, it was very hard to hide yourself, especially from seniors. And fortunately, at the time, all the freshers were made to wear khakis all the time, so that helped me to merge in a bit. And also later in the second semester, another 6'4" freshman joined, so that took away pressure a little bit.
First day at NIT, I think it was a lot of new faces. and trying to figure out exploring the campus. I think that was very memorable. Trying out the mess food that was also there, and I guess also figuring out some of the unwritten rules of campus. Really, it was a lot of news and things to figure out. Yeah, that was.
Yes, so we are very grateful that we are back in campus after completing a first year online. So we also hope that the freshers come as soon as possible. And also, it's no wonder that the senior mentoring the juniors have its own perks. I mean, they help out the juniors to adapt themselves to the college life. So, do you recollect any specific experience that you had with your seniors, something of that sort?
So I think the seniors were very helpful, when I joined. I think these are the people whom you can learn from, what are the courses like, what should you watch out for, and, who are the people you should talk to, because you don't know anything about the campus, when you come in. So I think even in a virtual world, I think you need to have mentors. What I tell people is that whether you're 7-year-old or 70 years old, we all need mentors. So I think it's important to find that the seniors, who take an interest in you and convey their experiences. I think that's very, very important. I think I encourage all the freshers to seek out, even on the virtually, people who can talk to them. People like you who take an interest in them and help them navigate the system, because the fresher year could be daunting in the sense that, as my other fellow alums have mentioned, it's like a new experience, and it's so you need to navigate that, and the seniors can certainly be very helpful in doing that.
Well, I think it's the initiation process, at least at that time, was tough. I had to speak frankly there, but I think once you get through the initiation process, I think the seniors became really long-term friends, and they're able to really guide you, especially looking to your future career in terms of all the prospects of, because I came in totally like a blank slate without knowing what to do next, and having some of the seniors guide me in terms of what are the right things to do and what are the right things that you shouldn't be doing. I think that was very helpful.
I think I remember some of the induction sessions for all these different clubs that we used to have, and that was a really nice way to get to know seniors and really be in that uncomfortable spot. And I think there's a lot of value in that in terms of how you respond, how you get along with them, and how you can seek help in terms of your questions that you have regarding the different things of campus. Yeah, that's it was really useful to get to know several of my seniors, and we had a lot of discussions and interactions, um, that which was very helpful throughout the rest of the years on campus.
So, talking about the clubs, how was the club culture back then in your days?
I think so. We had a lot of not. I think it's not that old for me. A couple of years back. So it's. I think it's probably very similar to how it is right now. Maybe a much fewer number of clubs, I guess. Um, it was it was one of those times. So I was involved in the Cry Club, and so it was a very good opportunity to go around to different schools in the neighborhood um, to teach kids, both very formal education and interaction with some students of NIT Trichy whom they actually look up to, and it's a very humbling experience. It teaches you some of the inequalities in society, and how you as an engineering student have certain responsibilities, to the society in terms of equaling that gap. So yeah, that was I think some of that clubs definitely pushed me to do things which I wouldn't have on a normal basis have done in that scenario. Yeah, that's very good experiences that I carried from them.
Venkat, sir, would you like to hear about how it was during your time?
In my time, it was probably more informal. I don't think we really had that many formal clubs in there. But of course, there's a clique of people with different passions, different interests. I think they just came informally together. And of course, Festember, used to be a great time for people to get together and, and put on a show. And but yeah, it was just more informal. I think there are, in fact, I think even other time, the way the people chose even the wings in the hostels. I was in Pearl and the last couple of years, and people really with common interests came and joined together in that in that wing. So it was more informal at the time, and but it's still a lot of fun because you really get along with people who are the same.
I think during my time, it was what Dr. Selvamonicum mentioned. In fact, some of the clubs were started at the time I was there, and I don't know if they still exist, like the Entrepreneurs Club and the Institution of Engineers Club. So these were like we were not so organized as you guys are these days. So we were having some informal things. We had some quiz, like engineers quiz for the Institution of Engineers, and then having some meetings in Entrepreneurs Club. But what I remember most about these clubs is that we really got together and got to know people from different years, and also mixing with people and getting to know them, and, what their interests are. And Dr. Vishwanathan mentioned, I think it also gives opportunity to connect with them and learn from them. I think that was very important those days. But I think you have a lot more clubs these days, and of course, one of the fond things I remember is the Westenberg Dr. Monica mentioned. I hope these things are still continuing, but obviously, we have many more opportunities now, as I have seen over the years.
Yes, sir. As you mentioned, the clubs have grown tremendously over the years. So now we have various clubs which caters to students' interest, and they're excelling in different competitions over the country right now.
That's great.
We would like to move on to, well, it is well known that students our age especially tend to face many failures in college, both academically and otherwise, due to tremendous pressure from peers and family to excel. What would be your advice to deal with such roadblocks to success, might I add?
I think it's one thing is to enjoy the journey. It's a journey, so it's not just defined by your years in college. So I think the main thing would be to learn the best you could, and obviously life is not it's not an even road. There are failures and successes. I think oftentimes you need to view the failures as opportunities and not to dwell on them. I think if you continue to dwell on the failures, then you never make progress. I think the idea should be that you try to do your best every day, but sometimes the best is not enough. So you just wake up the next day and you try again. So but things may be different. So what looks like a failure today, tomorrow you wake up and you may look at it differently, because many times we tend to dwell on the past because only we can only live the present. So I think the thing is to focus on what you want to do, what your goals are, and as other panelists have mentioned, is also to learn from others. Because it's the experience that you will never get back with college experience. So this 4 years. So when you have defined, when you have some vague idea of what you want to do, you just want to develop those skill sets. And I think that's more important than dwelling on failure. I think that one of the problems I think the freshers face, and I think this is throughout the world, is that when you come into NIT, you are not the only smart one. You are surrounded by hundreds of smart people, and that could be like first very overwhelming. And then when you take the exams and get the grades and so on, and it gets you may feel bad. But I think that is not so important in the long run. But it's rather developing the skill sets. I think that's much more important.
Definitely, sir. That sure makes sense.
Yeah, I'll say that what I tell my kids who are actually in college now, just to do your best. Don't leave anything on the table, and whatever the outcome, don't worry about it. Just keep moving on. There's a long life and career after college, and almost everyone I know from NIT, Trichy, whether they are here or in the US or India or all over the world, they're all doing well, regardless of how well they perform in college. And I have a personal story to share, not at NIT Trichy, but in a first year when I came to the US in my college life, a setback I had. So when I went to the University of Houston, I joined the research group of a really well-known professor. But very soon it became very painful working in that group, and I had to make a hard decision to leave the professor. And that was the summer of 1987, and it was very hard because by then I had already spent a year in the US, and now without an advisor. I was quite desperate at the time. Even I was questioning whether it was the right move to come to the US, whether I should go back to India. And but throughout the summer, I just kept pounding the pavement, and I talked to a dozen professors, and without any luck. And finally, I landed with my eventual advisor, and then I started on a completely new research area on high temperature superconductors. And I was determined to make the best use of my second chance. And 35 years later, I'm still working in the same field. I'm actually in the same office as the original professor I quit in 1987 at the University of Houston. So, things can really change over a period of time. I think I would say just don't worry, don't dwell too much on it, and just keep moving with your life.
Yeah, I think it's. I found that failure teaches you much more than what you learn in classrooms, in terms of how you carry your life, how you carry your work ethics, and how you persevere, as some of the panelists mentioned. I think it definitely has a very valuable lesson, and and it's mostly based on how you deal with such situations in the long run. So it gives you exposure to it. Essentially, a failure takes you out of your comfort zone, to be honest, and how you come out of it or how you cope up with it. It gives you a lifelong experience in terms of your work ethics, in terms of how you, I think, come out of it, and so on. So yeah, failure, definitely embrace failure, but don't get into the habit of, well, learn from your mistakes, and that's what I'm trying to say. Uh, I think it's really valuable.
Thank you so much, sir. It's something we'll definitely keep in mind moving forward in life. I'm sure the freshers too will treasure that as they go along the year. So we would like to move on to a small fun segment right now. I'm not sure if the fun slangs that we use in college were the same that you guys used. So here's a game to check if things are still the same inside NIT Trichy. So the first one that we'd like to put across is peace coder or put peace. Uh, if you guys can guess what that means.
Means take a chill pill. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, that is true. That's a good one, yeah. I mean, I would like you to pick a number, please, and you guys can go ahead with the game. Just pick a random number and
4.
I think 3.
I'll take 6.
the word is paint. If you guys can guess what that means.
I think these are new slangs which have been invented since I left.
Does anyone else want to try? Like, just a random guess.
What's the context, if you can help us out here?
Okay, so let's say, looks like Shiva really wants to get into the football team. I saw him painting his seniors at Juicy.
Okay, it seems like buttering.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Okay, how about this one? Particular word. That's nice.
I think it's ATTI, short for attitude.
Yeah, that's it.
I think Dr. Viswanathan should get a prize.
Yeah, this is more in tune with the
Well, it's unfair. I mean, it's it's I think more newer slangs. So
Definitely, yeah. Yeah. This is one term that we all use a lot, actually. RG.
this looks new to me.
No. So RG basically, okay, I'm gonna go ahead with the explanation. RG is basically somebody who is like the topper of the class, but doesn't share his notes or doesn't really help out the other people in the class.
So what does RG stand for? Is it a short form?
Technically, real genius, but
okay.
Yeah, we had many of them. So.
It also stands for relative graders. So the one guy will bring down the CGPA, affect the CGPA of other students.
Oh yeah, we all know that one person. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was not one of them.
Okay.
Well, that was fun.
It makes me feel really old now.
Okay, so on a concluding note, what advice would you like our freshers to have with them starting the next new phase of their lives in college?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned earlier, I think they have to learn to enjoy the journey. Because many times you focus on the CGPA and what am I going to be doing tomorrow and what is my life going to be, because nobody can predict the future. But you can just build the blocks which are needed to get you there. It's like the fact that that the freshers, congratulations to them that you are at NIT, means that you have already accomplished a lot. But now the thing is to just take the next step. And also, as was mentioned many times, that NIT is a very unique place in the world, and I think this is you don't appreciate when you are there. So you meet people from so many diverse backgrounds, from so many places all over India, that you take the opportunity to get to know them, because many times we just focus on the studies, what we have to learn in the classroom and taking exams and so on. But the interpersonal relationships and building soft skills, that's as important as anything else. So I think that's NIT gives you a unique opportunity. I think I would encourage all of the freshers to really build those skills and talk to people. Don't just hide in your hostel room and they keep studying.
Yeah, I'll say same thing which I'll tell my kids again who are in college now. Really to make use of every opportunity every day, and to really develop a broad knowledge, learn about everything, because later in life you'll become more specialized, and undergrad studies is really the time to get a broad education. And I would say don't take anything for granted. Ask a lot of questions. Don't accept anything if you don't understand it, because at this early stage you have the luxury of being a novice, so don't feel shy about asking any questions. And as Professor Ravichandran said, I think you make a lot of contacts with your peers, seniors, professors, and making these contacts will help you throughout your career. And especially I'm really impressed by the new generation. They really want to make an impact, whether it's climate change or social inequality or sustainability. Take on a project that you feel passionate about, join a group that shares a passion, and you'll find a lifelong career in the same field of your passion.
Yeah, I think I agree with both Dr. Venkat and Ravi. It's the relationships you build in college, your friends, your I think they were, for me at least, one of the memories that I cherish, and I'm still in contact with a handful of them, and they you have a good support. They were my basically support group to get through my lows and highs in life, even after college. And being in college, I think definitely make use of your time there. Do things that you wouldn't do otherwise, like explore your interests, and that's the best time to explore different subjects, different topics, be it through internships or research projects. And it's good to have, if you want to do a grad school later on, focus on certain specific topics that you're interested in, and be consistent in those ideas or the research projects that you do. It helps, but if you're not able to do it, that's also fine. It's not a make or break situation. That life has much more to offer you than what you think it does. And initially, when you're in college, that's your bubble, and eventually you get out of it, and then you do realize that there's an entire world to explore outside. So yeah, and I'd say seek good mentorship, identify your friends. There will be support groups for you throughout the rest of your life. So it's a place where you build such relationships. I think in the long run, it's not CGPA or subjects that you remember. It's more your friends and your memories with them, and how you carry that forward. That shapes your life.
Thank you for those golden words, sir. Venkat, sir, we would like to ask you a question. So, what made you change your mind to become a professor after working as a vice president and chief technology officer at Furukawa Electric Company for over a decade?
Sure, yeah. So as I said before, I did my grad school at University of Houston, and after I went to industry, so I stayed in touch with my PhD advisor and others at the university. And every time I saw my advisor and other folks from Houston at conferences, they used to always ask me to come back to the university. But at the company, I had developed a new superconductor technology, and the company was relying on me to scale up the manufacturing. So I had to tell the Houston folks that the timing was not good to return to the university. And in 2006, I believe my company successfully demonstrated the world's first manufacturing of superconductor wires. And soon after that, the company focus changed to manufacturing. So I knew there's a lot of research still to be done. So finally, I decided to take the opportunity to come to Houston in 2008. That was a big decision because I was really concerned about starting from scratch in a really different environment. And also, my wife, actually, she's also an NIT Trichy alum. She also had to give up a nice industry position for me to go to Houston. The move actually turned out to be more challenging because I found that running a research group at the university It's really like operating a small business. You got to take care of everything, bringing funding, hiring researchers, setting up facilities, managing projects. But it's been a lot of fun, and I would think I'll do it all over again.
Thank you for those words, sir. Thank you for answering us patiently. Sir, if you don't mind, could we ask you a question? If did you meet your wife at NIT then?
It's possible. She actually, I think she started a year after I left. I think 1987, and she graduated in 1991. Her name, she goes by Kala Selvamanikam, but her name, Kalai Selvi Mutayan. She was that. She did bachelor's in civil engineering, and again 87 to 91. And some friends here make fun of me saying that I actually found my wife in when I studied there, but there's no overlap. And I graduated in '86 and she just started in '87. So, but that's a rumor goes around here that I kind of connected my wife back in IT itself.
That's nice, sir. Now we move on to Dr. Guruswamy, sir. As a professor in prestigious research universities, can you elaborate your daily schedule and the challenges you face in your life?
Yeah, I think being a professor is like, as Dr. Selva Manikam mentioned, it's like running a small business. Uh, but nevertheless, it's a very enjoyable life. So I think the daily routine is really to think about new ideas and see how best you can execute them. The thing which I do most of the day is really thinking about new problems. What are the things which in my field which will be most impactful research, and then the other part of the day is spent talking to students, to graduate students, who are doing PhD, and spending time with them in the lab and figuring out problems. I think really solving problems. I think that's most of the time that is spent. And of course, part of the day is spent about thinking about teaching and mentoring students. And I think one of the rich experiences you have as a professor is to be able to interact with young people. And so that, that keeps you young in mind and also at heart. So I think that I would say most of the time is spent thinking about ideas, new ideas, and as well as talking to students and mentoring students and helping them figure out how to solve problems and how to think about research and what is really what could be impactful in their field. And I think that's what most of the day is done. And of course, the challenges are to find funds to really have this operation going. I'm an experimentalist, so running a lab and maintaining the facilities and having the ability to support the operation, that takes a lot of time, and that is one of the challenges. The other challenge is really helping students when they have problems. Many times they have issues with their courses or other things, and really conveying your experience and trying to tell them it's not that bad. Things will be better tomorrow. Things like that, and those are things which one is basically get.
Yes, sir, it seems like professors play a key role in the life of a student. Thank you, sir, for answering it. Now we move on to Vishnu, sir. Sir, was it your intention all along to pursue research work at NASA, or did you develop an interest in the field after you graduated?
Um, well, I think I was very interested in space. Anything related to space, I was like looking out for it, trying to understand more about it, read more about it. I think that was also one of the reasons I took ECE, was to get some of the courses related to that. But I think it didn't come along until the very last semester, or the last year, for instance. So I was very curious to learn more about it, and that's why I decided to do um, a graduate program in space systems engineering. So that gave me an idea of what are the different components of satellites and space related fields, and also into aerospace. It got me into understanding the different subcomponents of what it takes to plan a space mission. But in terms of research itself, it was, I'd say, it wasn't very planned on the specific topic that I wanted to pursue. And I think there was, I was on the lookout for different PhD positions. I got in touch with a professor in France, and they offered me a PhD to work on a topic that they were currently, working on, and that was the orbit determination of the moon using some of this lunar laser ranging data and things like that. I think there's a lot of noise that I'm hearing right now. Oh yeah, it's better. So yeah, that's how I got into that space-related field. And then after the PhD, I did a postdoc as well to work on a similar topic and trying to understand how to decipher the moon's interior structure using the some of the data sets that I've been using, which is laser ranging data and gravity field data. And that opened me to new problems in faced by this particular field. And and at the conference I met some of the current members in my group at NASA. And yeah, they had a postdoc position there, and that's how I came here to work at Goddard, and eventually now I'm now a research scientist here. So yeah, it wasn't planned. It was I think you go after a problem and you stick to it. You stick to the industry, persevere through whatever difficulty you face through it, and as you go through it, you meet people of similar interests as you go along, and that just happened to be at one of the conferences that I was presenting my work, and that's how I got here.
So the mysteries and vastness of space never fails to impress an individual. You'll be happy to know that we have Space Incubation Center established in college. And there are clubs like Nakshatra and 3D which works on aero modeling, astronomy and stuff here.
Oh, that's very cool. I did not have such things when I was in college, but yeah, I'm very glad to hear that there are avenues for current students to explore. And yeah, I'm definitely happy to be associated with these groups.
That actually brings us to the end of this alumni discussion. Thank you so much for being a part of this today. I'm pretty sure that this is something that the freshers in us will always treasure in our hearts forever. And we couldn't think of a better way to start the freshers' college life in a more better and inspiring way.
We'd like to end this session by quoting the golden words of John Dewey. We do not learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on the experience.
And Sneha from Orientation Team 21, signing off for the evening.
Stay tuned for more events and shows which are coming on your way. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having us.
And have a great
it's been
day.
a pleasure. Yeah,
That was
thank
a lot
you.
of fun.
Thank you.